Alright y'all, these new VIC I've set up. This is a 3 times back and forth. I do have each choke in bifilar mode. Choke number 1 is wound clockwise, choke number 2 is wound counterclockwise. Our secondary coil here wound 9 times back and forth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Also bifilar in a bifilar mode. Currently using a 500 ohm snubber, just a simple diode snubber circuit. Getting some pretty impressive results. Check it. Safety switch first. Also needed to connect everything. I just connected this for safety. I'm glad I didn't blow that up. Okay, hang on. Just gonna go full on here. Ready to go. Safety switch again. That's why I have it. 29 volts input. Go. Yes. 142 volts at the cell, less than 500 milliamps. Kind of a crazy waveform here. And I am consuming 7 amps input, kind of high. But dude, we are definitely getting some movement here. Bubbles. Fast bubbles. But I can only run that for a minute because my primary coil here is getting pretty dang hot. Need bigger cables for this thing. But 140 volts is pretty good for my solid state custom VIC here. We are increasing voltage and getting appropriate production. My green and blue channels were not balanced at 5 volt there, so run this one more time here. Interesting. 140 volts. Very appropriate production. I've got this step up kind of waveform, almost reversed of what Stan shows as being on the positive. It's on the negative. Kind of interesting. Go play around with some different configurations with my matrix switcher here, different circuit configs, and see what I can come up with. Now I want to point out here the major difference here in this here. Not only is there only 3 wraps instead of 5 on this one and 9 compared to 15 on my last one. Bifilar mode would not get me any voltage. I had to do a dual mode winding for the secondary. I'm guessing just because there's too many windings on the secondary and just didn't want to work. Ideally I want the bifilar mode on the secondary so we have equal opposite polarity pulses being generated from the secondary on each pulse. But also 3 wraps, 1, 2, 3. There's a layer of capped on tape, 1, 2, 3, layer of capped on tape, 1, 2, 3, capped on tape. On this one it was, I believe on each one was a roll of capped on tape. So it would be a winding, capped on tape, winding, capped on tape, winding, capped on tape. This prevents shorting and stuff like that I was experiencing in my transformer previously, and allows me to get to this higher voltage level. I'm affirming to myself that I will and have achieved 200 volts in my cell. That is my goal. I just have not yet. And this here being essentially less windings and more voltage tells me that it's not about how many winds you can put on this thing. It's about the circuit interaction between your cell and your VIC. It's interesting that a fewer number of winds here nets me a higher voltage because of the circuit interaction, LC calculations, etc. I would love to be able to get these pulses formed during the pulse off time, and that's what I've been working on rather than the pulse on time, because I am consuming 7 amps at full blast here. And if I can get that switched around like my previous videos, get the pulse generated during the off time, that would save me a ton of energy.
This is Stan's Revenge.
Quick video, perhaps a discovery here, putting 25 volts in. 1.7 amps consumed, that's the waveform. Got about 106 volts on the cell. Not even 100 milliamps, and just starting to produce. I had the primary coil in a bifilar mode. I have just changed it to a dual mode. Keeping voltage exactly the same. Safety switch. Keeping voltage exactly the same. Correction, now it is wound in a dual mode. Same voltage. Wow, wait, hang on. almost 6 amps, 5.7 amps, same voltage, about the same amperage, about the same production. Hang on, this changes stuff. This is 5.5 amps. Now the primary is in a bifilar mode. Same voltage, here we go. Safety switch. Same voltage, here we go. .79 amps. That's 1.8 amps. Still got, you know, about the same voltage, about the same amperage, about the same production, but a fraction of the input amperage. Now hold up, because I've been trying to squeeze amperage out of this thing as much as possible, and it never occurred to me. I've always wound these in a bifilar mode, but always had the primary connected in a dual mode. That means both the wires on the positive, both of the other end of the 2 wires on the negative. So 2 wires here, 2 wires here. Never did I think of separating it into a bifilar mode. You know, connecting the positive of one end to the negative of the other and making that bifilar. This slashes my amperage input. What the hell? This changes everything.
This is Stan's Revenge.
So if I've been consuming 7 amps, 6 amps, whatever that number was, to produce, you know, my measurements of 1 liter per minute, blah, 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 for how many watts. But here, I've got that down to like 2 amps. That right there is 1/3 of the power input I was previously using. That almost makes it close to unity. Especially when you consider the pulse being generated during the input pulse off time and able to reduce that pulse input down to like 30%. We're talking about 30% or 30% there. And I'm getting 140 some volts with this VIC setup here, which is enough to get pretty decent production. It's about 1/10 of a liter per minute. That's 100 milliliters per minute, given this is accurate. Which, side note, it may not be accurate because that's designed for oxygen, and oxygen is a much bigger molecule than hydrogen, so I might actually be producing more hydrogen than what that bubbler, that ball device measurer thingy actually measures. Scientific. We always keep it scientific here as much as possible. So conclusions for today is more windings does not equal more power. This is actually less windings on the inductor and less windings on the secondary, so I can have the secondary also in a bifilar mode, creating positive and negative pulses simultaneously out of phase, sending them to the inductors, which are opposite direction wound. These currently wired in a dual mode, a non-bifilar. I'm going to try to hook that up here in a second and see what that does. But we actually have less windings, and we're able to achieve the same, if not higher, voltage. And I kind of confirmed that previously, where I would wind this thing so many times and it just wouldn't produce any more voltage. It might have to do with the actual wiring or the design construction of this not being a stacked coils, you know, blah blah blah, the mathematics I don't know, etc, etc. Ultimately, I noticed when I had this wound 5 times, that's 1 2 3 4 5 per inductor, resonant frequency, I was getting up to the 40 kilohertz range, whereas these ones with just 3 winds back and forth for each inductor, we were getting in, you know, the 2 to maybe 6 or 8 kilohertz, meaning that the inductance of these, per my other videos, can probably be measured against the actual or estimated or whatever capacitance of these cells, because they're very hard to measure, and I'm not even sure if they're correct for that matter. But if I know what the resonant frequency is, plus the inductance of this, I can maybe get a definitive answer on what actually these capacitance ranges are on these. But that's going to require math. But to cap this video here, you know, bifilar primary winding, bifilar secondary winding, with fewer wraps. That was only 9 times back and forth. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Only 3 completed wraps on here. per inductor. And these were bifilar wound too, so my next one's probably going to be single file to see how that performs in relationship to it. But we're going to wind these back up in bifilar mode here. Just try a couple of other things here. Also, you know, the snubber system here, definitely, you know, we were trying out some different resistances, and different resistances work better or worse in different scenarios, so you just kind of have to play around with it to find your sweet spot in whatever frequency range or device that you're using at that time, imperial measurement, etc. And then I tried hooking these babies up again. These are my larger gapped, larger diameter cells in series. There were 6 total in series, and just couldn't get much production out of it. Voltage couldn't get up, and I'm not sure if these ones just need conditioned or just like the properties of these just aren't the properties of these sweet little cells here, which I believe function very much more like a capacitor because of their dimensions than these puppies here do, for whatever reason. So if it's still Q1 of 2025 and you're seeing this video, you guys are just on the forefront here with me. Most of my other videos I posted have been from years past. At least brought me up to, or you guys up to speed here is about where I am presently. So season 1, season 2 were kind of the last few years to where here I am now. But you guys are just about caught up real time to where I am presently, and we'll just have to see where it goes from here. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching me. Thanks for liking and subscribing. You guys really give me the motivation and even keen insight to help me for my project here. So I really appreciate you guys. Later.
This is Stand Revenge.